Good evening. For the first time, the BBC has unveiled the earnings of some of its highest paid stars. The move, forced by the government, means the corporation must outline how much it pays on-air talent, earning more than £150,000. Chris Evans is the highest paid presenter on the list, with up to £2.2 million a year. Gary Lineker is next, earning up to £1.8 million. Then comes Graham Norton on £900,000, though that figure doesn't include his TV chat show. Other well-known faces include Jeremy Vine, who's paid up to £750,000, John Humphries on up to £650,000, and Hugh Edwards, who earns between £550,000 and £599,000. But there's controversy over how many women make the list, just a third. Claudia Winkleman is the highest paid, with up to £499,000. Then Alex Jones on up to £449,000, with Fiona Bruce receiving up to £400,000. Well, the BBC's Director General, Lord Hall, has been defending the payments, saying the corporation is operating in a very competitive market. Our media editor, Amol Rajan, has the details. His report contains some flashing images.
Good morning, friends, and thanks for tuning in to the...
They entertain, report and thrill millions on the airwaves. But at what price? Every name published today receives hundreds of thousands of pounds. That's nice work, if you can get it.
Hey, Chris, how do you feel about BBC talent salaries being published?
Best paid is Chris Evans.
We are the ultimate public company, I think, and therefore I think that it's probably on balance right and proper that people know what we get paid, I think.
Jeremy Vine, his colleague on Radio 2, was close to the top of the list.
I've never for a second doubted how lucky I am to work in there, and I'm just sorry. I think the BBC's really hurting today.
Evans is paid over £2.2 million. Gary Lineker of Match of the Day is next on over £1.75 million. Graham Norton is paid over £850,000, though that doesn't include his TV show. And Claudia Winkleman is the highest paid woman on over £450,000. Lineker, the former England captain, tweeted today about who came top of this league. But crucially, the list isn't complete. We still don't know what big names like Davids, Dimbleby and Attenborough or Mary Berry get paid, because they work either for independent companies or BBC Worldwide, a commercial entity. The BBC's Director General insisted value for money was his priority.
These people have relatively straightforward jobs, they really enjoy doing them, and they're paid colossal sums of public money.
I think they are highly skilled jobs. I think you underestimate what it is to present a programme, to have a close bond with the public. This is the Forth Bridge. We are constantly assessing, and should be constantly assessing the people, the job we're asking them to do, and are they getting the right pay, and thinking about that all the time. It's public money, we owe the public that.
At a tour of the BBC's Salford studios today, there was scepticism about the cost of on-air talent.
I think they're in privileged positions, basically. They probably should be well paid. They're doing high pressure jobs. A lot's expected of them, but it's hard to imagine earning sums like that.
I think the BBC should be allowed to be competitive and pay competitive rates, because otherwise, well, we want people to watch the BBC, and it's a national treasure, it's really important, so we should be able to pay competitive rates. But I'm a bit shocked at what Chris Evans gets paid.
I mean, they are on large amounts, but I've noticed that the women are on a lot less than what the men are, and I just think a lot of them do just as good a job.
Just a third of those on the list are women, and of the top 20 paid stars, only 5 are female, earning £350,000 or over.
This is licence fee payers' money. They need to know where the money is being spent and that they're getting that value for money. And I think by having that transparency, we have the opportunity to see where there's maybe gender pay gaps and where there's issues about BAME presenters perhaps not being paid as much as others.
Of the top 20 on the list, none is from an ethnic minority background. George Alagaya, Trevor Nelson and Jason Mohammed are all paid over £250,000.
The people who run the BBC tell me that they operate in a hugely competitive marketplace, that they're up against not just other domestic broadcasters, but the new digital giants like Amazon and Netflix. But many licence fee payers will still wonder whether or not people who present television or radio programmes could really command the same salaries elsewhere.
Come in, come in, come in. This is where it all happens, eh?
John Humphries, who presents the Today programme and Mastermind, is paid over £600,000. Today, he told me that it was right his salary is made public.
What do? on paper, absolutely nothing that justifies that huge amount of money. If you compare me with lots of other people who do visible, if a doctor saves a child's life or a nurse comforts a dying person.
Would you do the job for less money?
Yeah, of course I would, and I have done it. I know this sounds rather curious given the amount of money you've just read out, but I am doing it for less money.
But how much less would you do this job for?
Well, I've finished the point I was making. I've taken a couple of sizable, very sizable pay cuts just recently.
With younger audiences flocking online, the BBC needs to persuade a new generation to pay the licence fee. It can only do that if, on diversity, class and gender, it reflects modern Britain. But on today's evidence, it's still falling short. Amol Rajan, BBC News.
After the release of the pay figures, Theresa May criticised the BBC for paying women less than men for doing the same job. And she insisted the corporation must continue publishing its top salaries. Elaine Dunkley considers the issue of the gender pay gap.
And of course, a big welcome back to Claudia!
It's uncomfortable viewing. They are the BBC's top female presenters, watched by millions but paid less than their male counterparts. Claudia Winkleman is the highest paid female, earning over £450,000, followed by Alex Jones on The One Show. They pull in the ratings, but when it comes to salaries, the BBC's biggest male stars earn 4 times as much.
Tennis is just too explosive, and
former Wimbledon champion and BBC commentator Martina Navratilova has fought for equality in sport and now on screen.
it's disappointing because you know, for the stuff that I do for BBC, I wanted to do more work. This is, oh, we don't have any money, and you know, we can't be paying you more. The pound is too weak, then it's too strong, and we already have a full field. Or what? There's always some excuse, one way or the other, and then you find out the numbers and you go, really?
Van Dijk, and has spent nothing but...
On a day when those who read the news are the news and current affairs and entertainment is scrutinised by licence payers and employees, critics are calling for a change in those at the top.
People mean well, all the managers mean well. Possibly when there are more female managers, things move on a little faster. But it's a big corporation and change is very difficult.
But change the corporation must.
1 go 5, cue.
The BBC has difficult questions to answer over pay inequality, but the details of what on-air talent is paid has exposed much wider issues. Britain's gender pay gap across many different industries has left women shortchanged compared to their male colleagues, and progress has been slow. The BBC argues it's doing better than the rest of the country, with a 10% pay gap between male and female staff. The UK's national gender pay gap is currently just over 18%. That's the lowest since records began 20 years ago, when it was a staggering 27.5%.
Women in the 21st century are not prepared to put up with being discriminated against, and there's always been suspicions that the men are paying themselves and each other more, and that they're underpaying women. Now it's out in the open, and therefore it's once the cat is out of the bag, it can't be put back in the bag. This is the moment at which it'll be solved.
The biggest challenge in tackling gender inequality is proving it exists. Next year, all government departments and large private companies will be made to publish pay gap data. Elaine Dunkley, BBC News.
Well, our media editor Amol Rajan is outside the BBC's headquarters here in central London. Amol, the focus inevitably today has been on pay, but they do come in an annual report that highlights other major issues for the BBC.
Absolutely, Clive. I mean, the annual report actually highlights some near existential dangers to the future of the BBC, from the flight of young audiences to online platforms to the rise of tech companies like Amazon and Netflix, who are investing billions in original programming. But inevitably, the focus of attention and the focus of headlines is going to be on this issue of pay and what it reveals about the BBC. Now, on the issue of gender equality, there's something like a consensus, as we've just been reporting, that the BBC isn't where it needs to be. On the issue of diversity, not a single one of the names in the top 20 of the list revealed today is from an ethnic minority background. And on class, we know that staff at the BBC are twice as likely to be privately educated as the average licence fee payer. And the danger for the corporation, Clive, Clive, is that if it doesn't get its house in order, it could come under renewed and fresh political pressure for yet more transparency further down the line. And based on the conversations I've had with very senior people here, with people in Westminster and with people across the industry, today could be the start of a long and pretty painful process, not just for 96 talented broadcasters, but for the BBC itself.
OK, Amol, many thanks for that. Amol Rajan there. And you can see the full list of BBC presenters' pay published today on the BBC News website. That's at bbc.co.uk/news. Millions of people now in their early 40s will